Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I am Janine Harry, a communication scientist by profession, here to give you communication tips and self awareness strategies through conversation. So, thank you so much for joining me. And today's particular video will fall under my self awareness strategies playlist, which means that I'm going to be very conversational in speech. So, yes, this is the perfect opportunity for you to unwind and chill with me as I discuss two hard truths among many that we need to accept. And I say among many because truth is infinite, right? There's not a certain amount of truths that we need to accept, it is infinite. And if we need to discuss, all these truths that we know of, that might take us a lifetime to do. Okay, so in this particular video, I just want to simply discuss two hard truths that I think is important for us to get to grips with within our current, state of affairs, and we can always build on this, in future YouTube videos to come. So let's discuss these two hard truths. But firstly, why are we calling it a hard truth and what exactly is a hard truth? Now, a hard truth is something that challenges our belief systems and realities, okay? Now, our belief systems, our values, our morals, and so forth, these things create our reality. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with having a belief system and with having certain values and certain morals and believing in certain things, because without that, we would simply not have a reality at all. Reality will crumble. So it is important for us to identify with certain beliefs and to identify with certain things in life. But the problem is that a lot of the time, we become so attached to our beliefs, and also we might not have very positive, healthy beliefs happening within our psyche, right? So, up on the presentation screen, I did say that our belief systems are deeply ingrained through societal programming, okay? So, when we speak about our beliefs being deeply ingrained, through societal programming, what this means is that, it could be something that you've been taught by your parents or your caregivers or your teachers, your lecturers, your pastor, and upstanding people within society. So, it's basically a situation of, well, this is right and this is wrong, and this is the way you should be doing things, and this is the way you should not be doing things. So, these belief systems, it's basically a toolkit of what is right and what is wrong, and it's deeply ingrained within our psyche. And we hold on to these belief systems because a lot of the time, our belief systems, they make us feel comfortable and they make us feel in control. And as I see, there's absolutely nothing wrong with having belief systems. But the problem is that most often we don't always have the best belief systems. Okay. For example, when you say something like, I am a good person and I'm worthy of good things, that is a positive belief system, which of course creates your reality. But a lot of people also believe that they are not good people and that they are not worthy of good things. That is also a belief system which creates your reality. So it's not about, getting rid of our belief systems. Instead, we should be building new and positive and better belief systems within our lives. And here's another surprising fact: belief systems can be both, as I said, negative and positive, but a lot of the time, what we think are positive belief systems might actually be negative, and what we think are negative belief systems might actually be quite positive. I will give you an example of this. For the most part, I used to think that being a sensitive person was so wrong and it was so corny and it wasn't cool enough, and it was something that I wanted to get rid of. I simply, always wanted to get rid of my sensitivity because I thought that being sensitive and embracing my sensitivity and being proud of my sensitivity was just a negative belief system to play into. But more recently, I'm starting to realize that embracing the fact that I am a sensitive person, loving the fact that that is part of my personality, is actually awesome. It's actually a positive trait to have within my life. So belief systems are always going to be negative and positive, and we should always be in the pursuit then of creating better belief systems so as to create better realities. So, this is where the hard truth comes in, right? The hard truth always challenges our belief systems and realities. Because think about it this way, if you have believed all your life that the sky is blue, and somebody comes to you one day and says, hey, the sky is not actually blue, you are going to feel very unsettled by that because for all your life you believed that the sky is blue. When you colored in, coloring in pictures as a kid, you gave the sky in that picture a shade of blue. When you look up, you are seeing the color blue. Okay, so the sky being blue can be a metaphor for these deeply ingrained belief systems that we have. And when somebody comes to you and they say something like, well, hey, the sky is not actually blue, the grass is not actually green, this challenges your belief system and it makes you feel very uncomfortable. And I know that using the example of the sky not actually being blue and the grass not actually being green is a silly, example to make because for the most part we do know that the sky is blue and the grass is green. But let us take this a step further. What if you really have belief systems that you believe is true 100%? And you are not ready to face the fact that, hey, maybe those belief systems are not true. Maybe I should revamp those belief systems. And in those cases, a hard truth can be just that. It can be quite hard because it challenges your reality, it challenges what you believe to be true, and it makes you feel very uncomfortable. And we have got to be okay with discomfort. Okay, we have seriously got to be okay with discomfort. We have got to be open to these hard truths because being open to a hard truth, it's not about denying our reality, but it is about building better realities for ourselves. Okay. So, two hard truths that I would like to discuss in today's particular YouTube video is number one, lifelong learning always needs to take place. And number two, routine and consistency need to be broken. Okay. So let's get into these two hard truths in greater depth through a discussion. Now, what we need to understand is that there is absolutely no finish line to the accumulation of information and knowledge. And that is definitely a hard truth for many to accept. Okay. A lot of elderly people might believe that because they are elderly, because they've spent so many years on this earth, they don't need to learn anything. They might feel like they have the bragging rights, so to say, to actually say that they have knowledge and experience based on the age. A lot of times, people who have been studying for a long time might also feel like, hey, I know it all. I've gotten to this finish line where I know it all and I'm in this position to learn others and to teach others. And you didn't have to tell me what to do because I know it all. In those cases, people who have been studying for a long time, people who have these leadership positions or leadership roles within society, they also have this notion that, well, the finish line has come. I know it all. I simply don't need to learn anything new. You can't teach me anything new, and so forth. And although we instinctively know, because a lot of people don't always hold this belief that we need to be open to learning at all times, a lot of people say things like, it is so important to always learn new things and learning will always take place. But it's one thing to instinctively say these things, like, oh, I know that lifelong learning needs to take place. It is another thing when you start to embody that knowledge. Because let me tell you something, for the longest time ever, I always knew that lifelong learning is important. I always knew that I will never know every single thing that there is to know on this earth. But the day I embodied that knowledge, the day that I realized, like, oh my word, I really don't know it all. There are so many things I don't know, and there are so many things that I will never know. Wow. It was at that point that I actually felt the discomfort of that. Because as I said, it is one thing to say and to know that lifelong learning takes place. But the moment you embody that, the moment you believe that to be true and know that is true, your ego will try to fight that. Your ego will try to make you believe that, hey, you know it all. But here's the thing, guys, you will never know everything. Never. Even when you are open to learning new things and you are constantly learning new things each and every day, you will still never know everything that there is to know. There will still never be a finish line to the accumulation of information and knowledge. And this is because all you will ever know is what you are required to know at a given point in your life. And new timelines within your life will then require the learning of new things. And the greatest thing about this is that we are always learning new things by default, right? And I love the fact that we're learning things by default because this means that we can simply go onto social media, watch a podcast, and be completely unaware of the fact that, hey, the information that we just absorbed from watching this podcast actually taught us something new. So, for the most part, we are learning things by default. We are, for the most part, unaware of the fact that we are learning all the time. But when you become conscious of the fact that lifelong learning takes place, you are like, wow, what I know today, I didn't even know yesterday, or what I know in this minute, I never knew a minute ago. That is how fascinating lifelong learning is. Because within this minute, we are learning something new and we are completely different to who we were just a minute ago, right? And this is another hard pill to swallow. And the fact that we need to be open to learning things from people that we never thought we would need to learn from. A lot of people are so stuck in egoic behavior that they think that they can only learn or they should only be learning by certain people. They should only be learning things from certain groups of people who belong to a certain age group. But here's the thing, every single person in your life can be a teacher to you. Okay? This means that you can be 60 years old or 70 years old and you can still learn something from somebody who is 30 years younger than you. You can be in one discipline and you can still learn something from somebody who is in a completely different discipline. You can even learn things from inanimate objects. You can learn things from the earth. You can learn things from the cosmos. You can learn things from literally everything around you because every single thing around you is a teacher, right? Everything has the ability to teach you something. So we need to be open to learning things from people we never ever thought we would need to learn from, but also from things, inanimate objects around us. Okay, this is how lifelong learning takes place. And I know that it is a very hard pill to swallow for many people because, as I said, a lot of the time we think that we have gotten to this finish line where it's like, well, I know it all. And now I'm in this position to be teaching the world this, that, and the other. But even though you hold a specific amount of wisdom to be teaching this, that, and the other to whoever, what you know and what we know as a collective, we only know 1%. And I know that is something that we need to wrap our heads around, but we only know 1% of things, okay? There is an infinite availability of knowledge out there that we have not yet been disposed to or exposed to. And so we need to be comfortable with the fact that what we know are only things that is required of us. But as we move and we navigate life, there are so many things that we will still learn, and we need to be open to learning these things. We need to be receptive when it comes to learning. Okay. And there's no end to the process of learning, there's absolutely no end to that. And I know that it may sound scary or seem scary because the ego will make us believe that, hey, we need to know it all. We need to get to this finish line. We have accumulated all this knowledge. But there is no finish line to the knowledge that we will accumulate. And I think it's also important for me to mention that there is a huge difference between information and knowledge because nobody can give you knowledge. All we can do is that we can just come on here and give you information. The people in your life can simply just give you information. And it's what you do with that information that allows you to transform that information into knowledge. Okay? So be open to receiving information from various people in your life and ask yourself, how can I extract this information and use it for the betterment of myself so that it becomes knowledge within my respective life? Okay. So, hard truth number one, lifelong learning always needs to take place. We always need to be in the endeavor of learning, and learning will never end. Okay. When you leave those school benches, all those university benches, that does not mean that learning has ended. In fact, learning begins. Learning begins. Whenever you think learning has ended, that is the exact point where learning has begun, when learning is about to begin. And that is how tricky and beautiful life can be, right? So, hard truth number two, routine and consistency need to be broken. This is, whew, let me tell you, this has been something that I've been grappling with for the past week. And I actually love it. I actually love this harder truth. It's growing on me and I just love it. Think of your life like a video game, guys. Like, really think of your life as being this video game, okay? And I know that this is going to be a hard analogy to imagine for us that don't play video games at all. But if you've ever played some sort of game, I want you to think of your life as being that game. Now, when you are playing that game and you are making the exact same moves all the time, guess what? You'll receive the exact same outcome all the time as well. And here's the thing, some areas of your life will require routine and consistency. So, for example, when you go to work, every single day. You need to adhere to the routine of getting to work at the same time and doing the exact same duties every single day. Okay. So, routine and consistency is needed in most areas of our lives. But we need to look at those areas that don't require routine and consistency and ask ourselves, why exactly am I still implementing routine and consistency in those areas? And let me give you a little example. A couple of days ago, I was having a nap. I was super tired, okay? And I decided, hey, I'm going to take a nap. And halfway through my nap, I heard a knock on the door. And I immediately knew that it was the delivery guy who was delivering a parcel for one of my family members. And because I was super tired, I was thinking, like, hey, I am not going to answer the door because that parcel is not for me. I'm just gonna wait, for the person who this parcel is meant for to answer the door themselves, okay? Because I'm not answering the door. And in the next moment, I realized, like, hey, of course that parcel is not meant for me, and of course I habitually would not, want to answer that door because the doorbell and the person at the door is not meant for me. But hey, what if I switched up that routine way of thinking? Maybe I do need to answer that door. Maybe there is a reason why I'm actually hearing that doorbell and not the correct person. Maybe there's a reason why I need to meet this delivery man. Maybe this delivery man needs to tell me something that I need to know. Maybe this delivery man can tell me something that will teach me something. Maybe there is a really good reason as to why my path needs to cross with this delivery man. And this is the ways in which we break routine and consistency. Because in my routine way of thinking, I was just like, well, hey, because the doorbell and the person at the door is not meant for me, I'm not going to answer that door. That's just our routine way, our habitual way of going about life, right? We do things that we think we should be doing, and we don't do things that we think we should not be doing. But what if we just broke the routine? What if we actually did something out of the ordinary? It's when we actually start playing that video game in a different way that we will receive a different outcome in our lives. And it is at this point that we actually need to start questioning why society makes routine and consistency so conducive. Why? Why do we live in this world where people are constantly saying things like, you need to be consistent, you need to have a routine? If people are pushing a certain narrative, you need to ask yourself, is that narrative good for me? And I can honestly say, in all subjectivity, that we need to break routine and consistency within our lives. And breaking routine and consistency within our lives does not mean that, hey, I don't think I want to go to work today, or I don't think I want to send my kids to school today. In those areas of our lives where we need routine and consistency, we can totally adhere to the routine and consistency required of us. But in instances where no routine and consistency is required, we are allowed to break the rules. Okay. And breaking the rules can be something as small as taking a different route to work, ordering something different on the food menu, waking up a bit earlier on the weekend, wearing something different. For example, a lot of us, we wear our crusty clothes in the house, but the moment we go out, we get dressed up. Why not switch things up and start wearing your nice clothes in the house? If you're always ordering the same thing on the menu, why not switch it up and start ordering something different? If you've always had your hair in the same hairstyle for the past 10 years, why not try a new hairstyle? It's all about tweaking a routine, tweaking our habits. And it's when we make those slight and small changes that we actually see ripple effects happening. And then, boom, the course of our life changes in better ways. And I say this because a lot of times routine and consistency is tied into our fears. It's tied into making us feel comfortable. But we need to be okay with discomfort. And discomfort means, switching up our routines and doing things differently. Because as I said in one of my very first YouTube videos, we can only see different if we are willing to do something differently. And it is at this point that I'd like to leave you with a quote of wisdom, like I always do. And today's quote comes from Arthur, and he says, all truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self evident. And I absolutely love that. All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. And third, it is accepted as being self evident. I love that. Thank you so much, Arthur. And now to keep up with me, guys, you are always welcome to subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can also read my blog at janineharry90.wordpress.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Infinio Communications, and you can email me at janineharry90 at gmail.com. Till next time, much love.